Let's go. We're good.
Well, if you are planning on coming to the Buffalo Stampede Festival in 2025, this is the video for you. My name's Nigel Preston, one of the event directors with SingleTrack Events, and we've got Joe Dorph, our course director as well. We're going to run through a course preview with you of the 10K, 20K, 42 and 100 kilometer courses. We have had some changes. And why have we had changes? I'm glad you asked. We are running through an active harvest area of pine plantation. There's an active mountain bike park, there's state forest, there's national parks, all sorts of areas. And so once we talk through all of those different groups and the local council, sometimes our courses change. And we're kind of excited about it. We're excited about it because this is part of trail running. We're in nature. We're doing epic things, and nature changes. Things develop and change. And so we're going to run you through some of the changes. And Joe, what's the particular change that's happened in the harvest area that we can talk people through before we get on to the 10K, please, mate?
Yeah, so basically everything around this bright Mystic Wonderland Plantation, this whole kind of section here is all pine plantation owned by H3P. And like, we're very lucky because most pine plantations you wouldn't even be allowed to really run around, but H3P acknowledged that Bright's a trail running, mountain biking kind of very popular town, so they let us use the roads that they build, all these little roads here. So it's an awesome spot to run for that reason, because you get lots of training roads, lots of access. But this year, the Clear Spot Ridgeline, they've finished clearing it, they finished logging it, but they're still doing some of the drainage works, and there's still some heavy machinery around there, so they just couldn't let us use it this year. They really wanted to, and so unfortunately, just because they've got rules in place, they can't let us run down there. And so yeah, we've taken that out. You'll see further on in some of the other courses that the 42, 100K and 20K have all changed slightly. The main elements of each race are all there still. So you still got Mystic Clear Spot, Dingo Ridge, Middle Track, same stats on basically all the courses. So I think it's worked out really well. And in some ways, I really love the new courses, to be honest. So, well, we should also note that since SingleTrack took over in 2021, like, the courses have never been the same every year. And I can kind of consider that happening each year as we go forward, because we run the event through Mystic Mountain Bike Park, which is always changing its trails, and H3P, which is always changing their logging operations. So,
yep, that's right. It is an evolving beast, isn't it? So we're going to start with our 10K, and so just over 10 kilometers, 523 meters of elevation gain. And Joe, take us through a bit of a flyover, if you like. These courses are now on Strava as well, just while this one's loading up. And this one does start in and finish in Pioneer Park.
Yeah, the Strava embeds are a new thing, and they're very good. You can now go on the website; it's fully updated, and see all the embeds. You can click on this, and it'll take you to the Strava page. You can join the SingleTrack Club, and you can download the GPX as well from the Strava page. So pretty good. But one of the great things is you can do flyovers. So you can kind of visualize yourself racing. The 10K is the only course that is basically the same, like pretty much exactly the same as 2024. And in fact, it's the only race that's ever been the same 2 years in a row since 2021. So yeah, the very small minor changes just right at the end. We use a slightly different trail to get off the road. But yeah, starts in Pioneer Park, runs out towards Mystic Park, and then as you'll see here, it'll jump onto the road and then connect to Emily Spur. So that's the main climb of the 10K. It's a 420 meter climb or so, and it's only in about 1.5K. So very steep, amazing views. You get views of both sides. You can see Bright one way, you can see Feather Top the other way. Yeah, it's the best climb in Bright, I reckon. I love it. It's the locals climb. It's not easy, but it's also wide, so there will be no congestion, so you can easily pass people. which is
Just,
another.
just repeat that again there, Joe. 400 meters of elevation in 1.2 kilometers. Is that right?
1.5, yeah. So
yeah,
it's about a mile long, basically. 1.6. Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah.
Steep climb, yeah. But yeah, it's one of the classics, and it's actually been in the Stampede. I think it's been in the Stampede every year, either up or down. So yeah. It's always been part of the race. And it brings you to Mystic, which is obviously one of the key spots on any of the Stampede courses. It's a famous mountain bike park, famous launch pad, amazing views of Bright. As you'll see in this flyover here, you get an amazing view of Mount Buffalo in the background. So if you're running the 10K, you can appreciate the views and also be happy to not have to run up there the next day, unless you're doing the Ultra Grand Slam, of course. Yeah, so we'll keep going along.
That's good. There's an aid station at the top there, Joe, isn't there?
Yeah, so just at the top. Good point, Nigel. I missed that. There's an aid station right here. It'll be basic aid station, everything you'll need, but no more than that. And then that's an hour and a half cut off to that point. So you have 3 hours total to get the whole thing done. An hour and a half up, an hour and a half down. Slightly shorter on the way up, but obviously so as you'll see here, actually, it's 3.7K to the top, and then longer to finish, but obviously it's downhill. Yeah, so you got really nice sunset views. Probably that's the advantage of starting at 6 p.m. If you're chilling out, you can hang around for a bit and enjoy the view, and then you head down elevation mountain bike trail. So this is like a steep, technical, rocky mountain bike trail. It's challenging. That's what the Stampede's all about. Like, it's not an easy 10K. A lot of people find this harder than the climb. Like, if you're not a downhill runner, you'll probably get passed by a lot of people who enjoy the downhills. You'll see some of the fitter, road runners take off and be the first to the top, or do well on the climb and then get passed on the downhill. It is quite technical, so just be careful. And some of you will kind of be descending into nightfall around this time as well. So you'll have your head torches on. You come out of the technical trail onto Hazeldean Road, a little short climb here, and then you're back onto more mountain bike trail, which is actually really nice to run down, flowy, and quite awesome. Good descending. Yeah.
Just want to mention there that as you're coming down that elevation section, it does interact with the shuttle road. So the mountain bike shuttle road. Now, whilst shuttles won't be running, the mountain bike park, they won't be running shuttles at that time while the 10K is on. Just beware that there are marshals there, but that other road users, other car users may be traveling on there. So just a bit of standard courtesy when you're crossing a road, look both ways before you cross.
Yeah, you'll be stopped if a car is coming by the marshals. We have marshals at every road crossing, so be ready for that. Hopefully it doesn't happen, because it's late and the only people who are actually allowed to drive up are people in the Bright Paragliding club. So should be very limited traffic, but if there is a car, it can be quite dangerous. So yeah, heading down, you'll head down Grevitts Way onto Robinson Road here. This is like a little 500-meter climb that you wouldn't even think about if you were just out on your daily run. But I guess after, what are we at? 8-9K of trails, you'll hate the little incline up to the top of Up and Adam here. And then this is just another really nice up track for a mountain bike. So as you can imagine, lots of switchbacks and nice downhill running to finish off the race. And that takes you out of Mystic Mountain Bike Park again. And then you'll finish running along the river trails here before getting back to Pioneer Park and doing your lap of honor and finishing at the event village. So that's the 10K, which, the same as last year.
Yeah, really similar. So we talked a little bit about the climb up Emily Spur. Obviously, that's a very steep climb. People save your biscuits for that. And then particularly watch out on that downhill section at the top. Elevation is the name of the mountain bike trail. It's quite technical, quite rocky, quite ruddy. But hey, that's what you signed up for the Buffalo Stampede, I reckon. So Joe's right. Like, we want it to be hard. But just if you are doing that and you're running up, just think to yourself, I need to save some biscuits for the downhill. Let's jump onto the 20. So just over 20 kilometers here, 1,169 meters of elevation gain. Does take in two of the classics as well, Mystic and Clear Spot. And as Joe said at the top of the show, we've changed the downhill from Clear Spot, but I'll hand over to Joe to do a run through as well.
Yeah, so the 20K ends up being pretty much identical stats to last year, which was great. I imagine the times as well being very similar. Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you whether this is a faster or a slower course. So we'll just find out on the day. So if you did run it last year, I reckon just plan for a similar time, and then yeah, we'll find out on the day. Really, you can tell me. So stats wise, it's the same. Just go. Just reload that.
And there's a really key spot here around, just while you're talking there, Joe, there's a really key spot around Clear Spot that we want to talk to as well. So the first part of the 10K up to Mystic remains the same, but there's a really key turnaround spot, which you can see on the map here at Clear Spot. And we'll just talk about that in a moment when the fly through gets up to it. But this is a key spot. We do need you to run to the can. There'll be an arch. There'll be a timing mat there. We do need everyone to run through that location. Yeah, Joe's just marking it out there on the course. So
yeah, so this is a good spot to pause it. Yeah, you start same way as the 10K, same way as the 20K started last year, up to Mystic. So we won't talk through that. But yeah, this is a great shot of it. So basically the change this year is we've included water reserve track. So basically, if you see this red line, follow the ridge line. It goes all the way along to Clear Spot. So yeah, I love this track. This is actually basically, if you come to Bright and you're in the know and you're a trail runner, you've probably done the Mystic Clear Spot loop where you basically run up Mystic and then you follow water reserve around a Clear Spot and then down again. So it's a classic training run. It's a classic run for any trail runner in Bright. And we're pretty excited to actually be able to include water reserve this year for the first time ever in Buffalo. And you can see there's some steep pitches, so it's not easy. Yeah. It feels like you're going uphill all the way to Clear Spot when you technically are. So it's technically a really, really long climb to Clear Spot, but there are some steep downhills as well. So you lose a little bit of climbing. So you get up to Clear Spot. We'll have a little water point at Clear Spot. For the 20K only, 10K as well, but not for the 100K, I mean. So the 20K will be able to refill a bottle at Clear Spot and have some Coke and lollies and stuff, but it'll be more of a basic aid station. And then it'll be handy taking 500 ml of water there just to get you to Clear Spot, because it isn't straightforward along this ridge line. As you can see right here, there's one of the steep pitches up there. That'll get you, and this one as well. That's a
really steep pitch. That one there, isn't it? That run. Yep.
Yeah, it'll break up your rhythm, and there's some downhills as well. So it's not easy running along the top here, and you do get great views, which is good of either side. So you'll get to this turn, head over to Clear Spot. There's a steep downhill here, and then a really steep climb up to Eagle Peak. Which, you know, has always sort of been included. Eagle Peaks, this point here is always sort of this is always one of the high points of the 20K. I think every year it's really been the high point of the 20K, just above Clear Spot. So that's the highest point of the race. You then have to descend to Clear Spot before turning around. So as Nigel said, we have this year, you get all the way to Clear Spot, you get to experience the incredible view. It's probably, well, it is the best spot on the 20K course. It's incredible scenery up there. You can see Buffalo one way, Bogong the other way, Bright down there, and every mountain in between. So pretty cool. We really wanted to take the 20K to Clear Spot because it's just the iconic location of the 20K. And yeah, and this year you'll have to touch the can, run around the can, which is at the top of that little rock pylon, and then head back on your way. So we'll have a pretty major aid station there, and we imagine people will get there pretty tired, ready to soak in the view and eat some oranges and, you know, have some food, and then you'll run back.
And as I said earlier, there will be a timing mat there as well. So if you're thinking, oh, I'll just take a little shortcut on the course, we will be recording your time at clear spots. So if you want to finish a medal, you need to make sure you get to that turnaround. Yeah, and then Joe, coming out from clear spot, we're heading towards middle track.
Yeah, so this isn't quite halfway yet in terms of distance, only 9K, but it's definitely halfway in terms of time. I would say you've done the big climbs of the race at least. You do turn around. There is still some climbing back up to Eagle Peak, and also some climbing up along this ridge. So that'll be tough. And by no means is the race done in terms of climbing. And then you do hit middle track. So this is some trail runners would absolutely love this. Some trail runners would hate it. I feel like me and Nigel are the two examples. I love it for the trail. I enjoy running down middle track. It's very rocky and technical, but it's fun. And I think, Nigel, you're the opposite.
I hate it. I'm much happier going up it. So it's ruddy, it's rocky, it's beautifully overgrown in a beautiful way. Single track, quite steep. Yeah, my road runner legs really can't handle it. So yeah, but just remember when you're out there running, this is probably a really key part of the course, isn't it, Joe? That'll really separate people in terms of ability in what they can do on the course and what they've saved. Yeah,
we had it in the 20K 2 years ago downhill, and last year it was a climb. So it's always been in the course, just different directions. This year we're going downhill again. So yeah, I ran it that year, and I remember like there's people all over the trail in the middle track. Some are flying, some are going real slow, some are walking. Yeah, everyone's doing something different. And yeah, that's part of the fun of the course. I think that it'll be a memorable part of the course for sure. It's about a 500-meter descent. It's all pretty rocky, technical. You might have to walk some bits, or you might have a great time and just bomb down it. So yeah, it's a great trail all through natural bush, single track, all the way down into the valley, and then you hit Baker's Gully aid station. So sort of the last reprieve before the final push, I guess.
Yep. So this is also a new, it's been relocated, I guess, from where it's previously been on the course. But again, if you've just been really taxed getting up to clear spot, getting down middle track, this is another water point or another aid station that we're providing to get people home from here. Even though there's not a whole lot of climbing to come, there is one that Joe will talk about in a minute. We think it's still important to support people out on course after Baker's.
Yeah, I wouldn't disregard this aid station. I think you feel close to town if you're a local, but we have included the Huggins climb. So there's still a bit of running to go, and if I'd be filling up water here for sure. So you follow the Baker's Gully single tracks. These are beautiful.
Yeah, really nice. Yeah.
Awesome trails if you're fresh, probably not so much if you're doing the 20K. And then you'll get to Huggins. So yeah, Huggins, I'll wait for this to swing around, see what it does. Yeah, so basically the climb, I'll probably just go out of this. But yeah, the climb you can see here, it's a single track climb that does a couple switchbacks up to Huggins Lookout. One of the classic trails around Bright, really. Very common running trail for a lot of locals and a lot of visitors. And then you'll get to obviously the awesome view of Huggins. So you can see when you're here, you'll be able to see the whole town, Mount Blapunka in the background. Lovely spot. Good spot just to go for a picnic and whatnot. So it'll be a hard climb that late in the race. But yeah, this little loop, it'll add the right amount of climbing that we wanted in the race, and it also adds the right amount of distance. So being able to include Huggins is nice. But yeah, it's a loop late in the race that will be pretty hard, I think, for a lot of people to get it done when you feel so close to the finish. So yeah, you get to the lookout, and then there's this little mountain bike trail descent, which is like quite switchbacky. And once you're down that's the hard part done. You really just got to get to the finish. We're taking you a different way this year, which is similar to a couple of years ago. Bit safer, I think, and a bit more enjoyable way to get back to the finish line. You'll link up to the river trail, and then you basically a 1K along the river trail, which there's a nice little swimming hole here. If you really can't make it the last couple 100 meters, go for a swim, and then do your lap of honor. So that's the 20K.
That's the 20K. What a beauty. And I think we touched on a couple of things there. One, once you get to Mystic, there's still quite a lot of climbing to go up to Clear Spot. Number two, middle track will sort you out technically. It's a technical downhill. And then thirdly, this section that Joe's got on screen at the moment, Huggins, it is late in the race. It is a pinch. It's single track and there's lovely switchbacks, but make sure you keep some energy in reserve for that section. It's twisty and it's turning. I really personally love that section of the course. But if you're completely depleted by the time you get here, you're probably going to have a walk, wouldn't you say, Joe, at this bit?
Walking going on here.
Yep.
Like, this is a lovely running loop if you're just going out for a run, but yeah, I think this stage it'll be a bit of a grind. But yeah, awesome trails, and if you're feeling fresh, a good place to move and have a good time. Like, pass a lot of people if you.
That's good. Yeah, really good. So that's the 20K. The next one that we're reviewing is our marathon, 42K marathon.
Let's do the 100K actually for us, because
good
that
point.
way, because it follows the 20K course.
That's right. It does follow the similarities. Absolutely. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah. Anyway, you want to do you have anything to say about the 100K or
100K? Look, to be honest, Joe, I'm disappointed we couldn't find people another, 68 meters of elevation to make it even 5,000 meters. But we have done pretty well. 100 kilometers and 100 meters, 4,932 meters of elevation on this course. Exciting to see how things have improved and changed, particularly around that Clear Spot middle track bit. But generally, you would say fairly similar, comparable to last year's, Joe?
Yeah, I would say this is about a 10 to 15 minute quicker course. Just purely based off the fact that it's probably 2K less, and it's probably 200 meters less climbing. So yeah, probably 15 minutes for some people, between 10 to 20 minutes, depending on who you are, I think. So yeah, if you're coming back again, I'd take that into account. It'd be nice just having to run 100K rather than like 102, 103. So I think people appreciate that. It's a bit annoying when your watch ticks over 100 and you're still running. So yeah, I'm happy with how this has turned out. I think this will be a really enjoyable race.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I guess the main thing about it is that in this 100K, it actually, compared to last year, it starts easier. So you got the first part of the race, you no longer have to go up middle track at the start. So one climb to Clear Spot rather than two. So you'll be faster on the way out. So the cutoffs have changed. Everything about the cutoffs have changed, because basically you're going to be quicker at the start than you were last year. And then you're going to be slower at the finish because it's harder. It's a harder finish now. Well, not harder, but longer. It's a longer finish. So that's why the cutoffs have changed. But you'll see from Clear Spot, the course is exactly the same as last year. So yeah, from here, the 100K back to here is the same. But the start and the finish are different this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go down Snake Ridge, really scenic descent, always staying on the high point views for days, but there are some steep pinches, so just be, I think, mindful and ready for them. And then you get to the Buckland Valley famous like road section, 3K on the road. You get this, I should pause it there because there's this amazing view of the beauty of the Buckland Valley Road. Is you get that view of Buffalo and you think that's incredible, and you got to run up it as well and back down again. But it is amazing, and you can see in the distance that long climb of Keating's Ridge winding up the mountain. So you got to get over past there before you can even get to the climb of Buffalo.
That's right. Keating's Ridge, I think, often a little bit overlooked in the picture of the big walk, isn't it? But this one that we've got on screen at the moment, this is called Keating's Ridge for those who aren't familiar, and it's a solid warm-up act, isn't it, to the big walk?
Yeah. It's a really nice climb, beautiful climb. It's a whitish kind of dirt track, and like natural bush. You're in the national park, and it's one of the most beautiful places on the course. Like, so incredible. Just I'd say enjoy it on the way out and survive it on the way back. But yeah, it's a good trail and it's a good one to just walk and take easy. It's not steep, and you can save your energy for later in the race. If you really want to go for it, just trying to keep some turnover, you can run that whole climb if you're feeling really good. But yeah, I love it. I think it's a good intro. Don't think that you're on the big walk yet, because you got to go back down the other side into your Robin Creek. Obviously the aid station there, critical aid station on the 100K course before tackling the big walk, which, you know, a lot of people know. It's probably, honestly, I think it's Australia's most famous climb. Like, everyone knows the big walk. It's so well known. One of the best trails in Australia for sure. It's 10K continuous trail, 1,000 meters of climbing, all up, and you start at the bottom of Mount Buffalo, and you finish at the top. So I think it's as good as you're ever going to get for trail running. It's in all the videos around the world. You know, it's pretty awesome. Starts off quite steep, and then it does flatten out a little bit in some sections, mostly this sort of section through here. Kind of run little bits of that, and then you get to the famous Mackey's Lookout, which, yeah, that's this spot here is where all the photos come from. It's rocky, it's technical, it's amazing. You feel like you're on top of the world. You get an amazing view of Bogong and all the big mountains. Yeah, it's just a classic trail.
That's it. And you can take heart, as you said, it's really steep at the bottom, right? So if you're thinking it's going to be like this the whole way, it does even off a little bit as you go up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not the steepest climb on the course by any means. It's the longest, but it's almost, you know, not even the hardest. I'd say Dingo Ridge is harder. So it's very long. It's like 1,000 meters climbing, very big, but it's not brutally steep or anything. And you get amazing views. So it's quite cool. You get to the chalet.
Yeah, and some road crossings on the way up as well. So we just want people to be really cautious of cars coming and going. Again, look left, look right. Give way to cars on the road there. There is speed reduction, so the cars will be slowed on that climb for you in the 100K, but please just do take care as well. But and this is the point at the top here where we get to the Gorge car park, which there's an aid station there as well at the chalet.
Yeah, so as you see, like 37K into the race, you've done a lot of the climbing of the course already, which is quite nice. But don't let that fool you. Like, I think this is a very tough course on the way home. You get to the chalet, famous aid station, start of the marathon, incredible big building with an amazing view, but you won't get to really soak it in too much because you got to go keep running and racing. So you go through the Underground River Trail. This little trail here is quite technical, bit of climbing, not easy, but you do then get to Lake Catani, and from there you've just got like probably 5 or 6K or 3 to 5K of very nice running into basically here, pretty flat along long plain track. So yeah, this is just the best spot in the world. I love it here so much. Like, Mount Buffalo is my spiritual home, and like, you know, these sort of trails here are exactly where you want to be just at any given point in your life.
And just feeling that it's not a lot of people would have run there, right? Like, comparatively to Big Walk, which has hundreds of people walking it every week, this sort of section of Mount Buffalo, the section we're taking people through, is off the beaten track, if you like. There are tracks there, but it's not spot that people would run very often, is it?
Yeah, you feel remote. You're right in the middle of the national park. It's just a beautiful spot. Basically get to I should actually stop it there, because you get to this point on the trail here, and you can see the cathedral. So that's the money, really. That's the money shot of the whole course. You get the cathedral there. You can see the horn when you're on the road. That's the highlight of the course for me. Amazingly beautiful. You'll see it on the 100K page. Actually, yeah, the shot is literally here. Sorry. Yeah, that's come out to here. You can see the cathedral. There's these nice models here, and it's incredible.
So good. So good.
Yeah, so I could just skip forward.
That's so good. So good. And then would you say, Joe, once people are up to the plateau, would you say that is, how would you be approaching that? You know, obviously it is flatter, but it's not necessarily flat, is it? Like, there's still ups and downs and and
Yeah,
ride through there.
Yeah, it's also about 13 to 1700 of meters of altitude, and Australians will feel that. If you're not an altitude person, if you live in Sydney or Melbourne, like you'll feel that. It's like almost such a low amount that you kind of just feel a bit weird and not great, and you don't really know why. So if you feel like that up at Buffalo, that's the reason. Like it's because it's not.
Yeah.
It's not low, like you're actually running in the mountains there. So just be aware of that. If you're struggling to eat and whatever, you maybe try and drink a bit more water because of the altitude. Just hydrating more will help you actually digest as well.
100%. That's great. A couple of sections here on the road where we follow the road line. That section that I just spoke about is actually off the road, but we're on the road here. So we do want people to take care as they're running through here towards first Cresta Valley aid station and then the Horn.
Yeah, that's right. You do get to Cresta here. Aid station there. Her Trails will be basically running that station all day. So thank you so much to Her Trails. They'll have a group of 8 or so girls there, keeping the vibes high. And then you'll see this amazing climb to the Horn, like in the shot right now, like awesome road climb most of the way, and then there's about a K on the trail at the very top. But yeah, as Nigel said, this is getting busier, this road. Like as Mount Buffalo grows in popularity, like this road gets busier. So just be mindful of cars. If it's a beautiful day, you may pass 4 or 5 cars on this climb. So just stick to one side and be careful. But yeah, the road climb's beautiful, amazing views. And then you get to the single trail right about here, and then you summit the Horn, which is the high point of Mount Buffalo. And like you won't get a better lookout. It's just so good up there. Take a photo, take a selfie, soak it in before, and just appreciate that you're on your way home. Then you still got you're about halfway through, 49K in, which is pretty nice. It's nice to think about that being also the halfway point in distance. You've done most of the climbing and you're in the best spot. So beautiful place. Turn around, the beautiful downhill on the road, and then you get back to Cresta, speed it up a little bit. You'll see the hump here. This is the second highest point on the course. You run around that and then you head back to the trail. This is the end of the out and back there. So you're then back on some beautiful little single trail through here. Technical run past Mount Dunn, beautiful little trail through here, which it's just, as I said, it's quite remote and you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. This is Reservoir Road. So you do hit a little dirt track here, which is super flat. So you got about 5K of like very nice, flat, slightly downhill, like dirt road running. So that's a good excuse to run. And I think everyone should try and run as much of that as they can, because it's a good way to just tick off 5Ks with little effort, really, which is great.
That's good.
Then you get to
the left track here, isn't it? Yep.
Yeah, a little climb there, and this trail's beautiful, technical, nice running though, like part of the marathon course, and just a beautiful little trail that'll take you to the chalet, and then you're on your journey back down the big walk, which will be in the night for some people, and this is sort of when the body of the field, I guess, starts to go into that nightfall kind of stage. And it's technical. You'll be maybe running with a head torch. Maybe you'll have picked up your pacer at the chalet. It'd be handy to have a pacer, I think, if it was already dark. So if you think it's going to be dark, definitely have a pacer, I would say. Just settle into the night. Try and keep your legs ticking over. There are plenty of sections that you can run down here. So trying to run as much as possible would be the goal before hitting your Robin aid station on the way home and having a good reset. As you said, got to go up Keatings on the way back. This is a nice climb to just walk, get into a rhythm, just tap it out. This is a beautiful descent. So you can kind of move pretty well all the way from the chalet, back to Buckland. Like the aid station is right here. Trying to just get through the kilometers. You'll see basically on the bottom here, you'll see from the Horn all the way down to the Buckland is just this gradual downhill. except for Keating's Ridge. But that climb itself, you can just settle into a nice walk, and it's not steep. So it's almost like a recovery in a way. And then you roll down to the Buckland Valley, and so you got a good, 50 to like 82K, 83K of pretty good terrain to just work your way through before a very hard end to the race, because I think has become
the real sting in the tail, isn't it, at the finish here after that 30 kilometers. And so one of the things that we do really want to impress on people is that when you get to that Buckland Valley aid station at that 80-kilometer mark, please refuel and reset yourself, because the climb Joe's about to talk you through is a tough one.
Yeah, definitely reset at the Buckland, have a toasty, take heaps of water, just make sure you got plenty of food on board. It's just like basically this climb is either very, very steep or like hard hiking grade. Doesn't really flatten out ever. It's lots of little steep pinches, as you can sort of see. Just takes a really long time. I think it's about 7.5, maybe 8K to clear spot with 800 meters of climbing. So it's it's not as long as the big walk, but because there's some flatter sections, it's much steeper in most sections of the climb, and it's at the end of the race. So we do now take you down to clear spot just to get to the aid station. So you have a really good reset at clear spot, because this year we don't have another aid station. Well, we didn't last year, but there's no other aid station after clear spot, and there's still 9K to go, and that's going to be a long 9K. So yeah, get to clear spot again, fully reset, get ready to go, because you got a little bit of climbing still to go along the ridge line here before basically being mostly downhill from here. We talked about
so clear spot, we will have a timing mat there as well, so we will record that you do go to that out and back. So if you're thinking about doing a little shortcut, don't, because we'll know. And then, as we said in one of our earlier previews as well, for the 20K, this is middle track. This is quite a steep technical downhill, so pretty rough, Joe. Man, you're putting this right at the end for people. That's brutal, man.
One thing about clear spot is there's no easy way to get down.
Yeah, there's no escalator down, is there? It's
really no easy way off clear spot. This is one of the easiest ways off clear spot. It's steep in every direction. As we said earlier, we were avoiding that ridge line that we took last year. Can't take it. And this is a longer way to get home, but possibly just as hard. It's not. Last year was hard. So there is a lot more distance, and we don't have an aid station at Baker's Gully, and the main reason for that is the 100K doesn't go up Huggins. So you'll see here, there's no, like in the 20K, there's that little Huggins loop. 100K, you don't need to do that. So basically, from the bottom of middle track, it is very easy going. Like from here, it's very easy going. Like the last 5K, there's hardly any climbing at all, and it's either very, very smooth single track or road. So it is a nice last 5K to the race. I think that'll be well appreciated by people doing their 100 finishing it.
That section that's on the screen at the moment, there's a road, and then you follow the river trail back to Pioneer Park. So all quite smooth running, and then you finish back off at Pioneer Park. So that's the 100K. Lots for people to think about there, to start planning their nutrition, a bit of their pace strategy as well, perhaps, which sections they want to run and which sections they want to hike, and just planning around paces and no paces. I think definitely if you're planning to be on the big walk after dark, paces 100%.
Have a good look at the maps. Look around, explore. You can do it in 3D if you want. So you can kind of, you can like have a bit of a play. It's fun.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's good. And our last one is our 42K. And I did almost jumped into this earlier, but 42K, 1,593 meters of gain, but 2,620 meters of descent. So it's actually a net loss, given that we start people on the top of Mount Buffalo and then run down to Bright. The big change here is that we have, thankfully, it's a great problem to have. We have so many people starting this year's Sky Marathon that we have changed the start to be off a small fire track and now onto a road section that Joe will talk through in a couple of moments. We're also requiring everyone to catch a coach, a bus, up to the start to make sure that they're in place, but also that allows us to do this road start for people from the chalet, from the Gorge car park, around to the monolith track and on. As I said, great problem to have, but certainly now that the event has grown in such a size, we're now doing this road start, which is pretty exciting. So Joe, let's talk through a little bit of that start section there from the chalet. And we'll start in waves, 3 waves for different groups, and then set people off. You will be timed from when you cross the start line, so don't be concerned around that sort of thing. We'll have timing loops there, but yeah, starting on this road section, and away we go.
Yeah, you'll have 3 wave starts. We're letting people choose their waves. If you registered before, I don't know the date, but it was like just after early birds finished, you wouldn't have seen in the registration form, but we've added it now, like which wave do you want to be in. So we will send an email out if you haven't already got it by the time you watch this, that says, can you please go choose your wave? And you can just select which wave you want to be in. We're not going to be militant about it, because the exact numbers don't matter so much to us, but we just think we need to spread it out a little bit before hitting the single trail. So starting at the chalet, amazing start line. You can take some beautiful photos at the lookouts before you start. You'll probably have a little bit of time once your coach arrives before the start of your actual race, so you'll be able to go to the toilet, take some photos and hang out. Nigel will be there. He'll say go. And then, yeah, we've got this 2.5K of really nice road. As we said, the road's closed because there's no cars allowed to drive up now. And so we have the freedom to just run you out along the road, which is 2.5K. It'll go pretty quick, to be honest. But yeah, it's actually a really beautiful road to run. You get to this really nice alpine meadow, and then you run around that. It'll be an awesome way to start the race. And then you'll hit the single track here. So 2.5K in, you'll hit the monolith trail, which is a good, well-made trail. Like, it's not narrow, but it's also not wide. It's a single trail. So we just want to avoid as much congestion as we can there. We don't want people stopping and waiting for 5 minutes or walking really slow. So we'll have about 900 runners starting. So that's why we've got 3 waves, just to kind of spread you out a little bit. But yeah, I think it will work really well this year with the congestion, much better than last year. So
yeah, so we just really want people to take that time in that first 2.5K to find where you fit in the field, and make sure that once you get to the start of that monolith track, you're where you want to be, and you're where suits with other people around you is probably what we're trying to say there. So that's the purpose of the seeds. That's the purpose of the coach buses. It really is to make sure that everyone has a great day out on the trails right from the go. So yeah.
Once you're on the trail here, 2.5K in, you're just on beautiful Mount Buffalo trails for the rest of the Buffalo Loop. You do the monolith track, you do the chalet service road sort of trail, and then you do underground river track. So awesome running up on Mount Buffalo, and it'll be way more enjoyable if it's not congested. So that's another reason I think everybody just love this sort of section. It's amazing trails up there, and then you hit the big walk, which is 10K of just awesome downhill trail running, best trail running you'll get, really. So yeah, plenty of good single track at the start of this race. It's iconic because you do get this 10K downhill very early in the race, and so it's very unique. You probably won't have done another race like this in your life unless you've done this race. Like, you don't often start a race with an enormous, 1,100-meter descent, and then have to back that up with some pretty rough mountain running to follow. So yeah, try not to just be fully cooked by the time you get to your oven. That's probably the goal. It is a fair way into the race. You're a good 17K in because of the top loop. But yeah, you've got a long way to go, and you'll probably run pretty quick to this point of the race, but you want to have plenty in reserve. Keating's Ridge climb, I think in the marathon, is always underestimated. People kind of forget about it or think that they can just run up it. But yeah, if you need to walk bits of it, if you want to walk all of it, I would, because it's still early in the race, and like it's about 350-meter climb, so it's not easy from your oven. And then you got this really nice downhill, so you can obviously get moving pretty good down here and clip some Ks off all the way to the bottom of Dingo Ridge, really. So yeah, you can get to the pretty important amazing spot along the course is the Buckland Valley. Like, this aid station here is, I think, almost becoming the heart of this marathon and the weekend, really. There's generally a lot of people around cheering, supporting, got a great vibe. It's such an important point on the course, like just over halfway, but you got all the hard climbing to go, and the race is kind of really playing out.
That's right. And people will often sort of get here and they're thinking, oh, we're over halfway. We're sort of 26, 27 kilometers, probably around that distance. Joe, would that be right? People
26K.
26K. Yeah, they're thinking, yeah, man, I've got this. This is amazing. And some people will fall into the trap to think they don't need to fill up at Buckland Valley. But one thing we want to communicate to you is please refuel at Buckland Valley, because the next section is really hard, and you do actually have 26 Ks of mountain running in your legs. Even if most of it's downhill or a lot of it's downhill, it can still bang you up quite a lot. So please don't just run through the Valley Aid Station thinking that the next 15K or so is going to be easy, because that might bring you unstuck, fair to say. So yeah, but it is an awesome atmosphere there before you take this right-hand turn and just confronted with reality.
It starts very steep. This is like not an easy climb at all. 800 meters of climbing. So over the climb itself, I think it's about 6K. So yeah, it's steep. There's some really tough pinches, especially right at the start where we are right now on the flyover. So yeah, if you got poles, definitely take it in from Buckland. Like, they're just so worth it for the back half of this course, I think. Running up this ridge line, you got natural bush on one side and you got pines on the other side. So you get this nice view to one side and you get this nice natural bush on the other. It's a really awesome climb, famous for a reason. It can be quite exposed, so it's hot. It can really catch people out. Like, you can get really hot, and I should mention this year we've got a water point right here, so we don't want people to rely on it, but yeah, you can take 500 ml of water here. You might be able to get some cool down with some ice, have some lollies if you're really feeling it. So we've added that in just because Dingo Ridge, we've traditionally always had people sort of overheating on this climb and getting quite caught out. So don't rely on it, but certainly take heaps of water from Buckland Valley and be ready for the climb. And then, just settle in and take your time. Don't push too hard, because we want people getting to the finish line safely. You get to this Lyrebird Hill. This is sort of like one of the false peaks. Catch you out. You think you're there, but you're not. You got a bit of a downhill, and then you got to go up again to Eagle Peak, which is the high point of the back half of this course. And then you got to get down to the iconic clear spot, regroup, and from here it's the same sort of finish as the 100K. So you've still got 9K to go, 9.1K to go. You want to really reset at clear spot, make sure you're good to tackle the end. Just stay cool all day. We've got ice, cool down at the aid stations, because you've got a little bit of climbing still here, and then you got the long descent of middle track, which is in every course, like all the long courses. And it's, as we've talked about, it's not easy, it's technical, it's loose, it's dirty, it's rocky. And then you can recover at Baker's Gully, because for the marathon we've got a basic aid station there. As you'll see on the map, there's a basic aid station for the marathon, not for the 100K, because it is only 9K from Clear Spot, and the 100K runners are experienced and they'll probably be okay. And I think a lot of the marathon runners will probably run straight past Baker's Gully aid station. So it's more of a basic one with everything you'll need, but I think it'll be well needed for the majority of the field, just to grab 500 ml of water and cool down a bit.
That's right. Be able to check out our website with just more details about what is available there. This section here, Baker's Gully, really nice, flowy single track, really close to town, quite flat, like not much elevation, so really enjoyable. And then this is a road section here. There is a road crossing there, so do take care. We will have traffic management there, but take care anyway, before you jump onto the river trail back to Pioneer Park for the lap of honor there, back to the finish. Couple of things we mentioned in the other videos that if you just watch this one, we wanted to highlight. Clear Spot, that out and back towards the end, we will have a timing mat there, so you do have to go out to the can, run around the can, check out the views, and come back. And also, Joe just touched on it, but middle track there is quite a steep technical descent, quite rocky. So do prepare yourself for that. Even though it's at the very tail end of the race, effectively, it is very challenging. This marathon course, Joe, we've made some changes. Faster or slower than last year? What do you think?
Yeah, a little bit slower. Like the main thing you can kind of consider is, like, we've taken a couple Ks off the top and added them down the end, and I think the Ks down the end are harder. So it's probably it's about less than a K longer, so it's not, the distance is very similar, but there is more climbing in it. So I'd say, like, not much, but 5 to 10 minutes longer than last year. But yeah, like, I wouldn't be changing my plan too much. It's a similar course. It's a very similar course, and it's still got the Buffalo trails, it's still got the Big Walk, still got Keating's Ridge, still got Dingo Ridge, still got Clear Spot. So yeah, all the main elements are there. Very similar course, but I think a little bit slower. And I guess the main thing is middle track is a harder, more technical downhill than last year. So yeah, it'll suit, I guess, more of a mountain runner than somebody who doesn't do as many trails, I guess. But yeah,
Perfect.
But yeah, no, it'll be fun.
Yeah,
and it'd be cool to see some people on this out and back.
That's true. That's true. Just pop into them a few. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So a couple of housekeeping things to wrap up for people. Previously, we have in Mystic had a Hive Pass that people have had to purchase. You won't need to do that this year. However, you will need to sign a separate waiver to work through the Mystic area in particular. So that will come out on email before the race. And also, just as we said at the top of the video, we have made some changes to the course. As we've spoken, there is an active pine plantation that we run through where there's harvest activity. There's an active mountain bike park, there's state forest, there's national parks. There's also local council to engage with as well. So that's why some of the courses have changed, and that's some of the backgrounds. And then in terms of the marathon, well, we're now looking at potentially 900 race starters. So we want to make sure that's an awesome trail experience for you guys out there. Joe, anything you wanted to add just as we wrap up?
Yeah, so the 42K actually scoots around the mountain bike park. So those runners don't have to sign a waiver. Yeah, it's just the 10K is the main one, and then the 20K and the 100K do use a little bit of it. So yeah, it'll just be signing a waiver this year. You won't have to pay for the Mystic Pass, which is nice. But yeah, that was basically it, I think.
Perfect.
So everything everyone needs to know.
That's good. Thanks so much. We'll be in touch with more info, but that is your 2025 Buffalo Stampede course preview.